First story. My entitled son begged me to give him my old PC after I upgraded mine. So I grounded him and gifted it to my old friend I saw 10 years ago. Then my ungrateful son smashed my PC, so I mocked his slow brain and delays just to make him sad. Now I'm regretting my every damn action and would do anything to get my family back. So this is going to sound worse than it probably is, but whatever. I 35 recently came into a bit of surprise money from my grandfather. Nothing life-changing, but a few thousand. And since I don't usually get treat myself money, I used part of it to upgrade my PC setup. Built a new rig from scratch. My old desktop wasn't even that old, maybe 2 years max. But I wanted something with more power since I've been getting more into 3D modeling, mainly Blender, and also want to start seriously streaming gameplay to make a bit of side cash. I figure it's a way to contribute more to the house, maybe even get something regular going on YouTube or Twitch. Now, my son 18M caught wind that I was building a new rig and asked if he could have the old one. He said he wanted it for this project he's into, where he records VHS tapes and does some weird retro editing crap. I don't get it. He's been going to the library to do it. Apparently, they have some analog to digital conversion setup, and he's shown me a few videos. Honestly, I don't see the appeal. Blurry old cartoons with glitchy effects and synth music dubbed over it. Not exactly Spielberg. I told him once it looks like he's just wasting time. For context, my son is 18 but still in grade 11 due to developmental delays. He's not dumb, but he's definitely behind. He's always been a little off socially and not very good at taking initiative. That's been frustrating for me as a dad, because I'm a big believer in tough love and pushing your kid forward. But his mom, my wife, thinks I need to be more understanding, and that I don't see how hard he's trying. I just think she's enabling him. Anyway, this isn't the first time we've had a computer talk. 2 years ago, I gave him my old Gateway laptop when I upgraded. It wasn't amazing, but it worked fine for homework, research, and light stuff. Within a few months, he'd basically abandoned it. Said it couldn't handle video work or some crap. I told him back then, you don't need $1,000 setup to play around with tapes. His excuse was always the software lags or it doesn't support FireWire, whatever that is. Felt like BS. Since then, he's gone back to doing that hobby at the library and occasionally complains that he wishes he could do it at home. But I told him flat out, when you start using the Gateway for something other than YouTube and Discord, we can talk. That never happened. So when I built my new rig, my first thought was, I'll sell the old one on Kijiji. It still has solid parts, and I figured I could get $700, $800 easy. But of course, the son starts making noise again. If you're not going to use it, can I have it? And it would mean a lot if I could work from home instead of the library. Honestly, it just sounded like another excuse to get more screen time for games. I tried to explain that building up your own setup is part of learning. If he really wanted a machine, he could start saving and maybe work some weekend shifts. But that went nowhere. His mom said I should at least consider it, since it's just gathering dust, now that the new PC is running. I told her it's not about dust, it's about principle. I'm not just giving out expensive stuff to someone who hasn't proven they'll use it. Then came the incident. About a week ago, an old friend of mine from high school, I haven't seen him in over a decade, got in touch through Facebook. We used to be tight back in the day, played LAN games together, and used to burn games onto CDs, that kind of thing. Anyway, he was in town with his teenage son, maybe 14, 15, and wanted to catch up. So I invited them over. We had a few drinks, more than a few, and we got to talking about PCs, gaming, retro setups, etc. His son is super into building, and apparently wants to be a game dev or something. I showed them my old setup just to flex the cable management. And somewhere in that drunken haze, I must have said something like, "You can have it." Man, he'd probably put it to better use than my kid anyway. I didn't even remember saying that until my wife brought it up the next day. She was standing in the kitchen like she wanted to strangle me. Told me I offered the computer to the friend's son. I was like, wait, what? And then she drops the bomb. Our son was in the room when I said it. Apparently, he walked right out without saying a word. Honestly, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I didn't actually mean I was giving it away. I was just drunk and bullshitting. But the kid took it personally. Not even an hour later, I hear this loud bang from the basement. Thought maybe something fell, but it was way louder than that. I go downstairs, and there he is standing in front of the old PC, just breathing heavily, red-faced, eyes locked on the case. The side panel's off, and the motherboard is cracked. The heatsink was smashed off and dangling by the thermal paste. RAM sticks were yanked out and broken. wires everywhere. I just stared at it. That PC wasn't just hardware. I'd built that one during a really chill time in my life. Late nights playing Unreal Tournament with friends, downloading movies off LimeWire when the kids were asleep. I'd even done some video editing on that setup when I thought I'd make a dad vlog channel once. Never got around to it, but still memories. He destroyed it. I didn't yell, didn't scream. I just looked at him and said, "Congratulations. Now you have no computer at all." He didn't even flinch. Just stood there for a second, then said, "Not like I could effing do anything on it anyway," and started ranting. "You never believe me. You think I'm just lazy. You don't even care what I like." Then more swearing. I told him to watch his mouth, but he just stomped back up the stairs and slammed his door. My wife ran after him like he was 5. I stayed downstairs. I wasn't going to play the whole comfort the emotional outburst game. The PC was done. That wasn't reversible. I just stood there looking at it on the workbench and felt this weird mix of annoyance and disbelief. Like, he really thought that was a win. He proved my point for me. He doesn't handle disappointment. He doesn't handle responsibility. And he definitely doesn't appreciate what he's given. Every time something doesn't go the way he wants, he breaks something or shuts down. I've been dealing with that since he was 9. So yeah, him smashing the PC wasn't surprising. It was just a bigger ticket item this time. My wife came back downstairs after talking to him and immediately started in on me. "Why did you say that in front of him? You embarrassed him. You know how sensitive he is about being behind in school and needing extra help." She made it sound like I publicly humiliated him at a stadium. I told her plainly, I don't tiptoe around someone because they're sensitive. Life doesn't tiptoe. If he wants to do something serious like pursue video work, then he needs to actually do it. Not just talk about it. Not wait until the perfect setup. And definitely not throw tantrums when things don't go his way. She tried telling me that the gateway genuinely couldn't run the programs he needed for VHS capture. I told her I don't care. If he wants something better, he can earn it. We're not poor. If he asked for help building something and actually showed real effort, I'd help. But he wants shortcuts. Wants to skip the work and jump to the reward. That's not how I operate. The tension in the house after that was thick. My wife barely talked to me. My son wouldn't come out of his room except to shower. And honestly, I wasn't losing sleep over it. I went back to working on Blender models. It felt good to have something productive to focus on. Then, a couple days later, my wife brought up a solution. She wanted me to apologize to him for the comment about giving the PC to my friend's kid. She wanted me to acknowledge that it hurt him. I told her straight up, I'm not apologizing for something I didn't do wrong. I wasn't choosing the other kid over him. I was drunk and talking, and he didn't need the PC anyway. If anything, smashing it proved why he shouldn't have had access to expensive equipment in the first place. She said I was being cruel. I said she was being overly emotional. She left the room. Later on, my son finally came to talk, but it wasn't really a conversation. He just came to the basement doorway and asked, without looking at me, "Do you even want me to do well?" I told him yes, but doing well doesn't mean getting handed things. It means earning them. He didn't say anything else. Just walked away. He's been going back to the library again. He takes the bus. Stays late. Fine by me. If he actually produces something meaningful, good. If not, that's on him. He's 18. Time to act like it. The old friend I saw. He messaged me asking about the PC. I told him the truth, it got destroyed. He asked what happened. I just said, long story. I didn't feel like explaining. He said his kid was disappointed, but understood. Whatever. There's nothing I can do about it now. Now here's where people are starting to act like I'm some monster. My wife's sister, who always butts into our parenting anyway, sent me this long text about how your son is neurodivergent and you have no compassion, and you prioritizing your hobbies over supporting him is sad. I didn't reply because I don't need parenting tips from someone whose own kid got suspended twice last year. My wife is still cold but functional. Meals get made. Chores get done. But she keeps tossing in comments like, you don't even try to understand him, or you could have handled that better. I'm not interested in rehashing it over and over. The situation is what it is. He smashed the computer. He's back at the library. I've moved on. But she insisted I get an outside perspective, so here I am. I don't see how I'm the bad guy for not wanting to give away a perfectly good computer to someone who wasn't using the last one they were given. I don't see how I'm the bad guy for expecting effort before reward. I don't see how I'm supposed to handle someone being irrational without letting them deal with the consequences of their own actions. He destroyed the PC. That was his choice, not mine. He doesn't get to break something because he didn't like a comment and then turn around and demand sympathy. He wants to be treated like an adult. Then he can act like one. Adults control their emotions. Adults don't break things to make a point. And for the record, I wasn't lying about thinking he just wanted it for gaming. Before he smashed the PC, his Steam account was logged into my machine more than any VHS editing software was. So yeah, I know where his priorities were. Now the house is quiet. He's avoiding me. My wife is frustrated with me. Her family thinks I'm some douchebag. But I'm not going to backtrack just because people are uncomfortable with the fact that actions have consequences. So tell me, Ada. Comments. Comment 1. YTA. And I don't even think you realize how much. You sound like you resent your kid for not being the person you wanted him to be. You call his interests weird and crap, but talk about LimeWire and Unreal Tournament like they're sacred history. Newsflash, your kid's VHS hobby is his version of that. You keep harping on, he didn't use the gateway. But it's a gateway laptop from like 2010. That thing can barely run a calculator. If he told you it couldn't handle the transfer hardware software, and you didn't believe him, that's on you for not even checking. And then you drunkenly give away the better rig to some random friend's kid in front of your son. Come on. You might not have meant it maliciously, but it was still a gut punch. Then when he reacts, yeah, he goes too far. Smashing the PC wasn't okay. But you never once tried to talk to him like a human being before that happened. You just kept moving the goalposts. Use the old one, earn it, prove it, wait. At some point, he realized no version of effort was going to be enough for you. You don't parent with discipline. You parent with disdain. You treat your son like a failed adult instead of a struggling teen. YT a 1000%. Comment 2. YTA. But I don't think you're beyond help. Honestly, I don't think you're this cold-hearted guy. I think you're burned out and dealing with a ton of quiet resentment you never processed. Maybe over the years of needing to give your son extra support. That's not an excuse, but it explains some of this. The mistake wasn't just the drunken offer, even though that was brutal. It was your entire posture towards him before that. You kept talking about how he didn't earn the computer, but from what you've said, you never set up a clear path to earn it. Just vague, prove you'll use it metrics. And yes, the gateway thing, I'm betting that wasn't a fair comparison either. He's trying to pursue a niche skill, and you don't respect it because it doesn't look useful to you. That's the core issue. Also, his reaction destructive, yet came from a place of hopelessness. That wasn't spoiled kid smashes toy. That was, you'll never respect me, so why bother? Therapy might help for both of you. Seriously. There's a ton of unspoken SHT rotting your dynamic. And one final thing. Ask yourself why you get so emotionally invested in not supporting him. The amount of energy you've spent proving he doesn't deserve things could have gone into actually understanding what he does. Comment 3. YTA. You're out here bragging about your new rig like you're a Twitch partner. And yet you handed your son a literal museum piece to prove himself. What kind of logic is that? You admit you had sentimental value in that old PC Unreal Tournament, LimeWire, etc. So let's be real. That thing was probably built around the Vista era at best. And you're expecting your son to do VHS conversions with it. Those require analog ports, stable capture software, and sometimes real-time encoding. That's hardware heavy, and you knew damn well the gateway couldn't handle it. You set him up to fail. Then you use his lack of usage as proof he didn't deserve anything better. Dude, come on. And then instead of helping your actual son, you offered that same machine to your buddy's random teenager after a few whiskeys. You think that's not going to sting? You think your son didn't internalize that? You're acting like he's entitled when all signs point to him just trying to do something weird and creative with his niche hobby. And you treated it like a joke because you didn't get it. Get over yourself. You failed him. Update. It's been a few days since everything blew up. And I guess I need to update because my house feels like it's not mine anymore. A lot of you went hard in the comments. Some of it was deserved. But I also saw plenty of people rewriting the situation like I maliciously planned to screw over my son and parade the PC in front of him like some evil stepdad. That's not what happened. So let me clarify one thing right off the bat. Yes, I regret what I said when I was drunk. I was showing off. I had just gotten a bit of a bonus and was feeling good about the new rig. And when my buddy and his kid came over, I wanted them to ask why I was giving away a perfectly good PC so I could brag about the upgrade. That's all. It was a drunken ego stroke. I wasn't thinking about my son at that moment. He didn't even come into my mind. That part sucks to admit, but it's the truth. I didn't mean to hurt him, but I did. And now I don't know how to fix it. Since that night when he smashed the old PC, it's only gotten worse. He's been locked in his room basically nonstop. No meals with us, barely any talking. My wife's been giving me one-word responses and handling everything through silent glares and slamming cabinet doors. This morning, she left without saying a word. No idea where she went. Still hasn't come back. But the breaking point happened last night. I sat my son down, or tried to. I told him we needed to talk. He didn't say anything, just sat there unresponsive. I told him I was willing to buy him a new PC, not some hand-me-down, not second-hand parts, but a proper setup that could handle whatever he wanted to do with the VHS editing. I told him I'd even help him set up a little workspace in the garage if he wanted to be left alone while doing it. He didn't respond, just kept looking away. So I pushed harder. I told him I wanted to help, that I realized I hadn't taken his interests seriously, that I now saw how much he cared about this retro video stuff, and that I was ready to support him. He still didn't say anything. That's when I lost it. I said something like, "You want to be treated like an adult, but you're acting like a sulking child." He shifted his head, but still no eye contact. I said, "You're 18 and still in grade 11, sitting around moping like the world owes you something. You broke a computer like a toddler, and now what? You want me to feel guilty while you hide in your room?" He stood up to leave, and I don't even know what possessed me, but I said it. "You want me to be honest? Half the time I don't even know if you're actually trying, or if this whole delayed development thing is just your excuse to coast through life." He froze. Didn't turn around. Just stood there for maybe 5 seconds, then walked straight to his room and shut the door. That moment has been replaying in my head all night. I've never said anything that cruel to anyone before, not even during fights with my wife. And the fact that it came out of my mouth about my own son. I don't know what's wrong with me. He hasn't come out of his room since. I left a note under his door this morning, just saying I was sorry. No response. I knocked once. Nothing. My wife found out what I said. I don't know if he told her or if she heard it, but when I got home from work today, she wouldn't even look at me. She made dinner for him and brought it upstairs. Didn't make anything for me. Didn't even say hello. When I asked if she was okay, she just said, "I don't even know who you are anymore." I've tried twice to knock again. No answer. It's like they're both gone, even though they're here. So now I'm sitting outside, writing this on my phone, because I feel like I'm losing my entire family, and I don't know what the hell to do. I get it now. I do. The computer wasn't just a piece of hardware to him. It was something that made him feel capable, like he had something of his own to work on. And I made him feel like even that wasn't important. I treated him like a nuisance instead of a son. He's always been different. Quieter. Slower to pick things up. But he never asked for much. He'd go to the library for hours to use clunky old equipment just to chase this passion he has. I didn't even try to understand it. I just saw it as a waste of time. I'm not writing this to defend myself anymore. I know I effed up. I just need to figure out how to come back from this. I'm ready to buy the new PC. I even priced out a build last night. Something that'll last him years. I'll pay for all of it. But right now, I'm terrified he'll just smash it again. Not because he's violent, but because I've made him feel so unwanted in this house that he won't believe it's really for him. He doesn't trust me. And I don't blame him. To those of you who said I was immature, I fought that. I told myself I was teaching him real-world lessons. But maybe I've just been a petty, ego-driven arsehole who couldn't handle having a kid that didn't fit my mold. This whole situation is a nightmare, and it's one I created. I didn't plan for it to go this far. I didn't want it to be this way. But here we are. I don't want another smashed PC. I don't want another night sitting outside because my family won't speak to me. I just want to fix this, and I don't know how. If anyone's been where I am or knows how to start rebuilding trust after saying something unforgivable, I'm listening. I'll do whatever it takes. Comments. Comment 1. Man, you sound like I did 10 years ago. I thought I was motivating my kid by holding back support until they proved themselves. Spoiler, I almost lost them too. You're not a monster, but yeah, you royally effed this up. Your son didn't break that computer because he's unstable or immature. He broke it because you broke him. Repeatedly. Over years. You treated his interests like they were dumb, withheld support unless it met your standards, and then threw a nuke at his confidence by mocking his delays. That comment about not knowing if the delays are real that was poison. Dude. That kind of SHT burns into a kid's brain and stays there forever. He probably thinks you hate him. Full stop. And even now, you're more focused on buying him a new PC than understanding how badly you've made him feel like he doesn't belong in your home. You want advice? Don't lead with a damn PC. Lead with a full-throated, no excuses apology. Not, I was drunk. Not, I was frustrated. Just, I was wrong, and I hurt you. You didn't deserve it. Own that SHT. Every bit of it. You do that. Maybe he lets you try again. Comment 2. Okay, I don't have kids, but let me just say your son's hobby is cool as hell. VHS conversions. That's niche, creative, and actually takes effort. People are doing full video essays with retro footage, glitch art, and synthwave overlays. There's a whole online subculture around that. He's not effing around. He's building something. And you SHT on that, because it didn't look like your definition of productivity. And then after all that you threw, are the delays even real, at him? That's the kind of sentence that makes a kid question their entire identity. You just made years of therapy someone else's problem. You said you're scared he'll smash the new PC too. He won't. What he smashed was a symbol of how little you believed in him. If you give him something real, something you don't dangle over his head like a prize, he won't break it. But yeah, you were the villain here. I hope you're ready to be the one who rebuilds it all. Because they're not going to come to you. Not this time. Comment 3. You are saying you're losing your family like it's a surprise, but your wife has been screaming at you with silence for weeks now. That is the warning. That's the air raid siren. You think this is about the computer? It's not. That was just the final crack in a wall that's been eroding for years. She's watching you pick at your son like he's a disappointment, and realizing she might be married to someone who doesn't have empathy. When she says, I don't know who you are anymore, that's not a line. That's grief. She's mourning the man she thought you were, someone who would protect and uplift his son. And you've been dismissing her this whole time. Dismissing her concerns. Ignoring her attempts to bridge the gap. You've made her choose between you and her child. And don't be shocked if she picks him. Wake the F up. If you want your wife back, you need to make this right with your son first. He's not just her kid. He's her heart. You fix that, or you'll be eating microwave dinners alone by Christmas. Update. I don't know if anyone is still paying attention, but the situation kept moving whether I wanted it to or not. So here's where things are. After the last post, I went ahead and bought the new PC. Top tier parts. More than he would ever need for VHS transfers. I assembled it on a clean desk in the living room, cable managed and perfectly set up. I thought the gesture itself would show I was serious. My son came upstairs to get water. He saw it. Looked at it for half a second. Didn't stop walking. I said, "It's yours. Whenever you're ready to talk, I'll help move it." Nothing. Not even a shoulder twitch. My wife was behind him in the kitchen and didn't even look up. She just said, "He can't be bought." Later that night, I reached a point where I couldn't stand the silence anymore. I approached my wife because I thought we needed to talk. But the second I started speaking, I realized what was actually happening. I wasn't apologizing. I wasn't taking accountability. I was trying to get her to comfort me. I was talking about how I felt alone. How I felt outnumbered. How I was trying my best, and no one saw it. She listened without interrupting. And when I finally stopped, waiting for her to tell me I wasn't a monster, she just said, "You're making your guilt my responsibility. That's not love." She got up, walked past me, and went into the guest room. At some point earlier, she had moved her pillow there. The house changed after that. We still handled basic logistics, trash, groceries, laundry, but the warmth was completely gone. Every interaction was purely functional. I was in the house, but not in the family. A couple days later, no sleep, no real food, I snapped. Not at anyone directly, just something inside me broke. I went to my son's door. I knocked once. No response. I knocked again, louder. Nothing. Something in me pushed past rational thought, and I started pounding on the door with the flat of my hand. Hard, loud. My voice came out hoarse and strained. "We're not doing this silent treatment anymore." No response. I kept hitting the door. Not trying to break it, just trying to be heard. My wife came down the hallway fast and stepped between me and the door, her hand against my chest. Not forceful, just blocking. She shouted, "Stop." I tried to move past her. Not violently, just driven by panic and exhaustion. She pressed her hand harder. And then she said, You're scaring him. I stopped immediately. Because I knew she was right. I stepped back. My hands were shaking. I suddenly became very aware of how I must have looked. She didn't comfort me. She didn't soften. She just said, "Leave, cool off, right now." I walked away. That was the moment something cracked and stayed cracked. The next morning, my wife packed a duffel bag and said, "We're staying with my sister for a while. We need space to reevaluate." She kissed the dog goodbye. She didn't touch me. They left. I stayed in the house alone. It didn't feel like a home anymore. It felt like a stage with everyone gone and the lights still on. My wife texted me a link to a support group for parents of neurodivergent kids. I wouldn't have gone if the house wasn't so quiet it made my chest hurt. I sat in the back. I didn't speak. Just listened. Parents talked about how long it took to understand their kids instead of trying to fix them. How much damage comes from expectations disguised as guidance. I realized I spent my son's whole life trying to push him into who I thought he should be. I didn't see him for who he was. A few days after that, my wife told me through text, not voice, that our son got a part-time job at a small local electronics store. He didn't ask me for help. Didn't ask for rides. Didn't even tell me. He just did it without me. It was the same kind of store I once told him was a waste of time. And he's there now, learning, doing, existing without me anywhere in that picture. My wife has been spending time with a coworker. I asked her about it once. Not accusing, just asking. She said, "You don't get to ask about my day right now," and walked away. I didn't argue. Last night, I couldn't stay in the house. The quiet was too loud. The empty rooms felt like they were looking at me. So I went to my car in the driveway. Just to sit. I thought it would be for 10 minutes. It's been 4 hours. No one has texted asking where I am. No one is waiting for me to walk back in. I'm not writing this because I think I deserve sympathy. I don't. And I'm not writing this to ask for advice on how to fix things overnight. I know it won't work like that. I know I broke something that will take more than money or speeches or forced conversations to repair. I'm writing this because I finally understand the truth. My son wasn't the one who needed to change. I was. And I'm terrified that realization came too late. Comment 1. God damn. I felt this post in my bones because this was my dad. He didn't abuse or abandon us. But he made every interaction about himself. Every time he apologized, it was a pitch for sympathy. And when I pulled away, he treated it like I betrayed him. Your son isn't just mad. He's hurt, disappointed, and probably convinced that nothing he does will ever be enough to make you proud. You humiliated his interests, doubted his learning issues, and weaponized tough love like it was a parenting strategy instead of an excuse to be cold. That pounding on the door. I've been on the other side of it. That's trauma fuel. That moment is burned into your son's brain, and it told him, loud and clear, that your control mattered more than his safety. I give you credit for seeing some of this now. But honestly, the damage is deep. He might forgive you one day, but he won't forget. Ever. And you're going to have to live with that. Comment 2. So I'm autistic. I've got ADHD, dyscalculia, and all the fun brain soup. Your son sounds a lot like me a few years ago, maybe even now. And I want to say this clearly. He didn't smash that old PC because he's unstable or entitled. He did it because he was broke. You pushed him. Over years. Chipped away at his confidence, called his passions dumb, and dismissed his delays like they were moral failings. You expected him to succeed by your standards or not at all. And when he couldn't, you decided he wasn't trying. He's not angry at the computer. He's angry at the version of himself that still hoped you'd ever understand him. And now he's doing what neurodivergent kids have to do. Survive without support. You see his job at the electronics store as distant. I see it as survival. Don't chase him. Don't try to control him again. Sit with your guilt. Earn the right to show up. And maybe he'll decide to let you in later. Second story. My siblings and their partners are demanding that my 80-year-old mom move to an old folks' home, give her house to them, or buy them a new house. And now they are demanding that I transfer every single dollar from mom's GoFundMe to their accounts. My brother, Sil, sister, and Bill feel as if mom should give them her house and property and move into an old folks' home. Or buy them a house. My mom is almost 80. She has all of her faculties about her. She is well educated and very spry. It's mostly my sister and brother causing all the trouble. A few years ago, my stepdad passed. He was a great guy and good to my mom. My older brother and my younger sister are convinced that Mum has secret money left to her when stepdad died. At first, they thought she had cash hidden in the house, so they'd visit her, and one would keep her busy while the other would snoop. Then they convinced themselves that she had a secret bank account somewhere. No, she doesn't. I do most of her banking and set up her accounts for autopay. She owns her house free and clear. After Dad died, I orchestrated a GoFundMe to get her house paid off. We were successful. They do not know that I did this. They were kept out of the loop for fear they'd pressure her into giving them some of the money. So they have no idea how she paid her house off, only that she had paid it off. They really ramped up the pressure after she paid off the house. Now they are convinced more than ever that she has a secret stash of money. Then we told them about the GoFundMe for her house, hoping they would back off of Mum. But they lost it. They wanted an accounting of the money, and they wanted anything that was in that account turned over to them, threatening to take me to court for elder financial abuse. Now she only has to pay the monthly bills. I set up her autopay, so I know exactly how much money she has. Enough to live, but not to have any fun. So I pay her water and cell phone bills for her. I transfer the money to her account every month. They have each told her she needs to give them money for a down payment on a house, since she refuses to give up her home of 35 years. If she won't give them any money, then give up an acre to them each. How are they entitled to her money? She receives less than $4,000 a month to live on. I cannot convince them that she doesn't have a secret bank account. The thing that they do not understand is that he is not our bio father, and he didn't raise us. They married when we were all out of the house. No matter how many times I point this out, they say that it doesn't matter, since they called him Dad. It's been a few years, but they still bring it up often. Mum called me last night. She was tired and had worked hard today in her high tunnel. Both of them had been calling for the last few weeks, upping the pressure. The last time they brought it up, they talked about splitting her house and property between the two of them, also mentioning her secret bank account. There are 5 siblings altogether. But since the other 3 houses and careers are doing better than these 2, they think they are entitled to her home and property after she passes. What they do not know is that she left her house and 5 acres to an animal rescue activist group that she is very active in. I know because I am the executor of the will. She has asked me not to tell them. How do I get them to back off of her without telling them there's not a snowball's chance in hell that they are getting anything? She does not want them to know about her will, for fear they will harass the animal rescue activist group. Comments. Can OP's mother look into getting restraining orders and blocking OP's siblings' numbers? OP. I've mentioned that to her several times. She worked in the legal system for a few decades and understands how it works. She's not interested in cutting them off in any way at all. She dearly loves all of her children. Commenter 1. You might consider reaching out to your local version of Adult Protective Services or other elder social services in your county or state. If you think she is at risk for fraud or other scamming influences, they can advise how to protect her, or at least document things should it escalate later. OP. That's what somebody else advised. I didn't know that you could call them to ask for advice. I thought you only called them to report abuse. This is great advice, and I will be doing this first thing in the morning. Why is OP sharing that information with her siblings about their mother? OP. I only share what she allows me to share. My sister's the youngest, and my brother's the oldest. Those 2 have always been the golden children. I'm smack dab in the middle, so I'm the people pleaser. I try to keep everybody happy all of the time. She really doesn't want to cut contact with them, because then she feels she'll lose contact with the grandkids and the great-grandkids. She doesn't want that on their conscience when she passes. My mum is intelligent and well-educated, but she's also extremely stubborn. Once she's made up her mind, it's almost impossible to change it. Commenter 2. Make sure a lawyer looks at the will. In some jurisdictions, leaving a family member out of a will entirely with no mention of why they are left out can open it up to being contested. In some places, you leave a token amount to demonstrate that they weren't forgotten. OP. Several people have mentioned this, and I will go over that with her tomorrow. And then we'll contact the lawyer that created the will and see about adding them and giving them $1 each. Commenter 3. Did the witnesses to her signing the will also sign self-proving affidavits that she is of sound mind and was not under any duress when she signed the will, and that she knows what is in it? One of the ways that greedy relatives successfully contest wills is through the witnesses. They make courts track down the witnesses to get them to either clearly remember your mother signing the will or not remember her, and possibly tossing out the will. There's also the strong possibility that witnesses are dead or have moved and cannot be found. putting the validity of the will in jeopardy. Witnesses to signing wills are often employees in the lawyer's office who don't know you and will have a difficult time testifying in court that they remember you and your state of mind when you signed a will. Yes, we made sure she was well covered in this aspect because we knew there were going to be issues down the road. And to be honest with you, the house is in disarray. It's falling apart around her. It needs to be raised. It's the property that's worth real money. It's in a prime location in Alaska. Commenter 4. You need a really good estate lawyer. Get POA over everything concerning your mom. Maintain detailed financial records and transactions with your mom's money. That way, they can't accuse you of financial mismanagement. I hope you are on all of her accounts. Your mom needs to go LC with them. If you have not done so, put up hidden cameras around your mom's house and place nanny cams in the house with a link to all cameras to your phone. The stress could cause her to have a heart attack or stroke. Take care. This is all great advice. We do have cameras up. That's how we caught them snooping. Unfortunately, after that they know there are cameras. Yes, my name is on all of her accounts. And I do keep an accounting of everything online on my computer, which they do not have access to. What is a high tunnel? It's a type of greenhouse. It's huge, and it's like a tunnel. She got it through a government program. On her mother, and the charity animal rescue activist group. She's an old farm girl that just loves animals. Right now, she has 3 husky pit bull mixes. About a dozen cats she fosters and helps to place in permanent homes. But we grew up with parrots, chickens, geese, ducks, pigs, an occasional goat, lots of dogs, lots of cats, and aquariums. She used to be one of the premier bird rescues, and we have helped foster and rehabilitate crows and eagles. Should get the locks changed for her mother for good measure, so her siblings cannot get in. That's a good idea. It is time for her to get new locks on her doors. I'm going to text my husband and see what he thinks because he can just change them for her. Thank you. Any chances that OP's siblings are the golden children as of today? The youngest was definitely babied. She was born after a miscarriage, and she was a twin. Her twin died at birth. Commenter 5. These are the kind of people who will break into the property and steal any paperwork looking for bank accounts and safety deposit boxes and dump the closets and mattresses looking for hidden safes. Talk to your mom about distributing any personal gifts before she passes, like giving away jewelry she wants to go to specific grandchildren, etc. as Christmas or graduation gifts. Resign yourself to this not ending well, and consider security cameras for your property too. This. I firmly believe that they would try to steal paperwork if they could find it. Luckily, we had moved out her major paperwork after Dad had died. It's in a safety deposit box. OP's reason for the GoFundMe after her stepfather's passing. Was her mother destitute? Yes, she was. His first wife took almost everything. She had let his insurance expire, big mistake, and she was behind on a reverse mortgage and was going to lose the house for less than $20,000. I tried to reason with the title company, but they wanted her home for the land. Her land alone is worth a pretty penny, probably close to $250,000. I set up a GoFundMe to keep her in her home. And at the time, I figured we'd sell everything later for her if she needed it to live on. But she is very active and very spry still. Everyone who donated to the GoFundMe was other family and friends. One close family friend who had worked with my mom for a decade put up $10,000 herself. I donated $2,500. This was the easiest way to reach her family in the States at the time. You try living on $4,000 a month in a remote village in Alaska. Update. So many things have changed since my first post. My mom became very ill with vertigo and edema and went into a fib. She spent 3 days in the hospital. They think that there is an issue with her pacemaker. But she and her doctor also suspect her high blood pressure meds. She needs to go to a specialist. She heads there tomorrow. During that time, the cat rescue that she was leaving her house and property to basically turn their back on her and didn't go in to help her with the animals that she was caring for. Animals that were dropped off by the rescue. She had to scramble to find outside help and pay for it when the rescue was supposed to help her. Apparently, the rescue had lost a large grant, and they are now telling fosters that they are on their own. My mum is feisty, and that pissed her off, so she decided she's not leaving them the property and house anymore. She has decided to make me executor of the will, with the stipulation that I will sell the property and divide the proceeds among her grandkids and great-grandkids. I will follow her wishes to the letter. She has directed me not to tell any of them what she plans, to let them still think that it is going to a rescue. As for you all asking about her income, she lives remotely in Alaska. Her closest store is 35 miles away, one way. If she wants a Walmart, she has to drive 70 miles one way. Her electricity alone is $600–800 a month. Plus, groceries are outrageous. She also has a lot of animals. They keep her alive and happy. She gives 10% to her church and another 10% to charities. She has to pay for car payments, auto insurance, house insurance, water bills, and gas for the truck. If there is anything left, she puts it on an account at the vet, so she has a buffer in case one of her animals needs the vet. Comments. Commenter 1. Probably stating the obvious. But if her will states the property and house go to the rescue, she must change the will. OP, she knows. She is in the process. Commenter 2. Odd timing that her health should change now. Have the entitled's been visiting? OP, no. We are pretty sure the change was brought on by her high blood pressure meds. She is still going to the heart specialist tomorrow. Commenter 3. If she's struggling for money, why the donations? OP. Her church replaced her French drain, replaced her hot water heater, and bought her a hospital bed. So she firmly believes in tithes. As for the other charity, it's animal rescues. She doesn't always give them money, but she does a lot. Commenter 4. You'll never convince them there wasn't a stash of money. If they can't find it while she's living, they'll accuse you of stealing it after she's gone. There is nothing that will tear apart a family faster than money. Commenter 5. Do get a letter from her doctor that at this time she is of sound mind. This may come in handy should the validity of her will be questioned by your siblings. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.